Two Lonely Souls Scene 3. Sweetheart, do you know the names of your roommates? Roommates? The girls you live with? Yeah, Angie and Ewan. What about the staff, the big people they take care of you? Amy, Maury, Annie, Penny. Great, Molly, you know all of them. You are smart. Molly smiled, but her attention turned to the surroundings. There were a lot of new things around her. What is? She pointed to a tree. This is a tree. Amy tried to teach her the whole sentence. You should say, what is this? What is this? Molly leaned down and grabbed a handful of snow. This is snow, Molly. It is cold. Amy shivered to explain the word cold. Amy kept talking to Molly and Molly was listening to her closely, and she tried to repeat all the words and built simple sentences. Tweece, snow, ice, cowed. She definitely was smart and intelligent. However, Molly got a bit bored and she needed some distraction. Amy leaned down, made a snowball and threw it towards the next tree. Molly laughed and did the same. They threw two more snowballs towards the tree until Molly aimed at Amy. She wasn't sure if Amy wouldn't get angry, but Amy laughed. Go ahead, throw and I throw one at you. They started a regular snowball fight and Molly seemed to have great fun. She kept laughing until they stopped about 10 minutes later. Amy pulled Molly closer, wiped away the snow from her overall and hugged her. Sweetheart, how was it? Great. Amy. Molly was panting heavily, but she was happy. Are you thirsty? Yeah, please. What about your diaper? Did you pee? Molly hesitated, she wasn't sure. She didn't remember to have peed during the snowball fight, however she pressed her legs together and felt the wet bulge. Me pee. Yeah, the next time tell me I peed, okay? Molly nodded. Amy got the thermos and poured the tea into the cap. Drink slowly, it's hot. Touch it but be careful. Molly touched the cap. Hot. Dis hot, dis is hot. Snow is cowed. Amy waited a bit and she held the cap at Molly's lips. Molly drank up all the tea. The sun was setting slowly and the forest was getting darker. They had to go back to the pension before dusk. Molly, we should go back. It isn't good to be outside in darkness. Darkness. I'll show you then. Molly nodded and they stepped forward. While walking, Amy got curious about Molly's abilities. Molly, do you always know when you pee? No, Amy. Me? I not know I peed, I laugh. Oh, you wanted to tell me. I didn't know when I peed while laughing. Good. Amy. 10 minutes later, Molly felt the urge and her diaper got warm and heavy. Anyway, she even didn't stop and let the pee flow. Amy, I peed. Dear pee change. Well, sweetheart. I change you when we get back to the pension. This is the pension. Amy pointed at the building when they were approaching it. Back in the pension room, Amy pulled off Molly's overall. Molly struggled to pull the pullover over her head, but she managed it finally and lied down on the bed in her tights only. She was looking forward to the change as usual. Her diaper was heavy and soaked. Amy had to clean her thoroughly. When she finished, she asked Molly. Get the dress, Molly, and put it on just like a t-shirt. Yeah, Amy. Molly stood up, got the dress from the cabinet and pulled it over her head. Now look in the mirror and turn around. Molly turned around in front of the mirror and found it fun. I nice. I am pretty, Amy corrected her. I am pretty, Molly repeated and smiled at Amy. Wait for a little, I put on a dress too. Amy made a quick makeup and put on a dress. Now they were ready to go to dinner. Amy took Molly at hand and led her to the dining room again. There were two older couples sitting at the tables already. Good evening, Amy greeted the other guests. Do, evening. Molly tried to repeat the greeting. One of the couples turned away and Amy could see a disgusted look on their faces. On the other hand, the second couple smiled back and the lady came over. Good evening. You have a beautiful daughter. Amy shook her head. I'm a nurse in the asylum and I took one of the children with me. The lady turned to Molly. Sweetheart, what's your name? Amy sighed. She is special, but Molly lifted her head. Name Moe. The lady smiled again and stroked Molly's hair. Miss, you have a heart of gold if you took this poor child to your vacation. Me no poo, Molly instinctively reacted even if she didn't recognize the meaning of the word, but the facial expression revealed the lady's attitude. The lady smiled at her again. Of course not. The lady returned to her table. Amy led Molly to their table and the waiter brought dinner for all. Amy had to put a bib on Molly and cut her food to smaller pieces, but Molly was able to use a spoon and not to make a big mess. Amy already knew that Molly could eat on her own. The first couple called the waiter and they were talking with her, but the waiter explained something to them and Amy could understand. Our pension is open for everybody. Molly ate her portion slowly, but she managed to stay almost clean and Amy smiled at her. You are a smart and clever girl. After dinner, Amy was about to lead Molly back to their room when the old lady stopped them. Do you have to go to bed already? Molly isn't that small. Let's sit down here on the sofa. Could you tell me more about you? I never could imagine meeting somebody like you. Her husband joined them and they sat down. Molly kept walking around the hall and exploring every single detail. She seemed to be curious. Amy started talking, but she kept her eye on Molly. The little girl was calm and didn't try to run away. Minutes later she approached Amy and turned to her. What is this? She pointed at the big decoration plant in the corner. Sweetheart, this is a plant, but you should wait while I'm talking with these nice people. Oh, let her ask, she needs to learn, the old lady interjected. Yeah, but polite behavior also is something she needs to learn. After all, she should live in a normal community later, I hope for it at least. Right. Sweetheart, you wait the next time and we let you ask. She smiled at Molly and Molly nodded. The lady stroked her hair. Molly tried to understand what had happened. It was quite difficult for her. She had to face the normal life and it was different from the one at the center. The old lady noticed Molly's confusion and she took her at hand and pulled the little girl closer. Sweetheart, I'll explain this to you. It is called polite behavior. While big people are talking, wait until they can listen to you. What wisten? Oh, sorry, the old lady understood what was going on. Molly reminded her of her grandchildren when they were about 2 or 3 years old. They hear what you say. Amy smiled both at Molly and the old lady. Molly apparently felt good and the old lady was almost like her grandma. Molly walked away and explored the room a bit more and asked Amy or the old lady about more items. Anyway, she waited until they stopped talking. 10 minutes later she felt pressure in her bowels. She instinctively stopped and pushed. The back of her diaper expanded and her bladder also voided itself in her diaper. Molly sat down between Amy and the old lady and was oblivious to the poop she was sitting in. Amy, I peed and pooed, she turned to Amy. I know, sweetheart, the next time say pooped, nor pooed. The old lady smiled and continued talking with Molly and Amy. Amy first wanted to go change Molly, but she noticed Molly's reaction and continued talking. Molly was getting tired and yawned. Amy excused herself, stood up, and took Molly at hand. Good night. Do night, Molly repeated as well as she was able to. Back in the room, Molly pulled the dress over her head and tried to pull down the tights, but it was a bit difficult for her. Amy helped her and led the little girl to the bathroom. Molly, you take a bath now. She helped Molly into the bathtub, untapped the messy diaper, cleaned the mess and filled the bathtub with clean water and bath foam. Molly was excited. She never experienced a real bath like this. They took showers in the center. Amy put a rubber duck into the bathtub and let Molly play with it. The smile and laugh revealed Molly's big enthusiasm and Amy let her play until the water almost cooled off. After the bath, Amy put a clean night diaper on Molly and Molly put on the pajama on her own and walked over to her bed. She lied down, but she didn't fall asleep yet. Amy undressed, showered, put on her nightshirt, switched off the light, and lied down on her own bed. Molly wasn't able to fall asleep, she was too excited from all the new experiences. Suddenly an idea hit her. At the center, she slept in the room with her roommates and they sometimes were strapped to their beds. Sometimes she lied down to them when they were crying. What if she lied down on Amy's bed? She slowly walked over and lay down next to Amy, but her heart was beating fast. She wasn't sure about Amy's reaction. However, Amy pulled the cover over Molly, cuddled her tightly, and kissed her forehead. "Good night, sweetheart." A small tear appeared in Molly's eye and she fell asleep immediately. Molly's eyes closed, but Amy couldn't fall asleep and kept thinking of the little girl. Molly didn't show any signs of retardation and Amy believed Molly was neglected only. She decided to teach Molly up to the limits of her abilities.